Good morning. Today is Monday, April the 17th, 2017, and my name is Sharon Sarner, and it's my honor and privilege today to interview Carl Bennett for the Jewish Historical Society of Fairfield County. And we are at the home of Mr. Bennett, and his lovely daughter, Robin Bennett Canerick, is also here. Now, Mr. Bennett, I just want to ask you two brief questions before we begin our oral history. Have you signed our release form?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And do you understand the release form?
I believe so.
Good.
If I have questions, you'll answer them.
We will. Please tell us your name.
Carl Bennett.
And what do people call you?
Carl.
Okay. When were you born?
When?
When, yes.
January 27th, 1920.
Mr. Bennett, where were you born?
563 Steamboat Road, Greenwich.
Wow, you're a native Greenwich person. That's wonderful. How did your family get to America?
By boat.
Where did they come from?
I have no idea.
You don't know which country?
Asked them. I may have, but
Originally from Poland, and then they landed in Hull, England. Part of his family went south to London, and the other part went to the United States.
Do you know why they came to this country?
well, I guess it was the movement at that time with the problems in Europe, wherever it is, and everybody said, go to America,
Right.
that's the place. And they came to America.
And this is
But they got married, they didn't come married at that time.
Did they know each other
No.
before they came? Okay. Who were your parents? What were their names?
Meyer Bennett
Mhm.
and Dorothy.
no.
Your parents.
We're-
Oh, my
Rebecca.
parents.
Your parents.
I have no
Is
idea.
your Meyer was your father?
Meyer was my father.
And what is the name of your mother? No.
Rebecca
Re-
Lipsky.
What did your parents do for a living?
They had a grocery store on Steamboat Road.
Oh, in Greenwich.
Yeah.
They settled in Greenwich.
No, they
Right.
came.
Yeah.
He came to New Jersey
Mm-hmm.
and he worked in a fur factory for a while. And then he went and joined some of the other relatives that were in Mamaroneck or Westchester, where, and he came here. And he had a brother in Coscob who had a grocery
Grocery,
store.
yeah.
And my
That's Sam.
father opened a grocery store in Greenwich on Steamboat Road, next to Monero's restaurant.
Yeah. Now, did your mother work with your father?
Oh, absolutely.
So they worked together in the grocery store.
Oh, sure, that's their part of it.
Were there other family members working with them at the time?
I did for a while,
Really?
and my oldest sister did. She worked there.
Which one?
Sarah.
So did you work there as a young man or as a teenager, or was it
Did
kind
I?
of? Yes.
Everything.
Yeah.
Teenager,
Yeah.
ager.
And what did you do there?
Well, decorate the store windows, eat the ice cream,
Candy.
Did you
the
stock the
candy,
shelves? Yeah.
eat
Yeah.
the and do the general things in the store,
Right.
pack the shelves, shelves and so forth.
So you learned all this from your parents, right? You
Right.
worked with your parents and your sister.
Right.
What was the name of the store?
Bennett's grocery store.
But you have to tell them what Grandpa's real last name was.
Oh yes. Well,
Shemishlovsky.
love it. Shemishlovsky. That's a mouthful, right?
And when they left Hull, England, they saw Bennett in a jewelry store, and
Really?
they saw it was a very popular name. So that's when he decided to change it to Bennett.
Wonderful. That's a great story.
Yeah.
What were your parents' political beliefs?
Oh, I don't have to get into that. Do you think so?
Only if you don't want to.
Democratic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the
God
time.
bless America, the
Right.
Democrats.
Well, it's a sign of the times. When they
Yeah.
came here.
Oh, yeah.
How did they? Were they involved in any political organizations?
Just at the synagogue.
Okay.
That,
Okay.
that was it.
And which synagogue was that?
At that time, it was called the Greenwich Hebrew Institute. It was on Greenwich Avenue on the second floor.
Wow.
Behind Saks Fifth Avenue.
Wow. And was it conservative?
Oh no, Orthodox.
Orthodox. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about your early family life growing up. You grew up in Greenwich, correct?
Yeah.
So tell us about your life, your life as a young man.
I went to the Greenwich school system, Greenwich High School, and then I went for 1 year to NYU School of Business Commerce down in the city. And then I hated getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get a train and go to school, NYU. So I went to NYU, and I hope to go away about college life that you hear about it. All I did was go back and forth on trains, and to me that was college life. So I quit, and I went to work. I worked in my father's store in my spare time, and I got a job in Bridgeport for a wholesale liquor company,
Wow.
Connecticut Distributors. It was a very fine company, and that was it.
Describe your home, your parents' home, how you grew up religiously, or what kind of home did they have? Did they celebrate the holidays? Did you go to temple regularly? Tell us about that as a young man.
It was strictly kosher. We had every Thursday we get a delivery from New York with the kosher food and so forth. It was a great system. And what else did you want to know?
Did you go to temple regularly?
Oh yes, oh, it was a must. I had to go to Hebrew school too.
So how often was that? Do you remember?
I would say twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday. And naturally you had to go to Saturday service.
Right.
So it kept you busy.
And on the holidays, your mother you had holidays. Did your mother do the holidays at your house? Did she?
Absolutely.
Or were there other relatives? Did you also go to other relatives' homes, or did you spend it mainly at your parents' house for the holidays?
No. We would go 1 year, whatever the holiday you wanted to be at our house.
Right.
Or at my uncle's house in Costco. And we go back.
So you alternate.
Yeah.
And how many siblings did you have? You mentioned an older sister. Was that your only sibling?
No, I had another sister. Yeah, a sister.
And
Esther.
My mother's name was Esther. What are you the oldest? Or no, you are not. You had an older
The
sister,
youngest.
so you're the youngest. So you
The
had
baby
two.
of the family.
So you had two sisters, and then you.
No.
No?
One brother,
Wow.
Frank, who later went to Columbia and opened a drugstore on Greenwich Avenue, the town pharmacy.
Okay.
And he was there a good number of years, did very well. And then he had two children, and then they moved to Florida. He sold his business and he moved to Florida.
What happened to your parents' grocery store? Did any family members take over the grocery store? No, just when they retired, that was it.
Yeah.
Right.
There was another brother.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a brother Harry. Harry Bennett.
Okay. And what did Harry do?
What did he
A
do?
real estate.
Was he a
Real estate. He's Harry
estate.
Bennett, real estate.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, realtor. Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's a lot of family members to keep up with.
Yeah, well,
And your Jewish education, you obviously went to Hebrew school and to temple regularly. Did you have a bar mitzvah?
oh sure.
Yeah. Tell us about that. What do you remember of that bar mitzvah?
It was a big crowd. It was held at that time. You familiar with Greenwich?
A teeny bit. But
Do you know
explain to
where-
us.
Where it used to be the Greenwich Time,
Yes.
their office, on Elm Street.
Yes, I know Elm
And
Street.
across the street was a big property,
Mm-hmm.
a parking lot. Well, that was the Greenwich Hebrew Institute.
Wow,
Owned all that property.
wow.
And then they stayed there until they moved to, now it's Temple Shalom
Right.
on the Post Road.
Right near here.
Right here.
Yeah, right next door.
Yeah.
So the Greenwich Hebrew Institute, was that one temple or was that servicing several temples?
Oh no, that was the one time.
One temple. That's what it was called.
Orthodox.
Orthodox. And so you said your bar mitzvah was large. Does that mean you had a lot of family there and friends there? Did you have,
Yeah, oh yes.
so that's why it was so big?
A lot of families and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was yesterday, in the middle of my speech, I started crying because my mother had died the year before, year and a half
Oh, that's
before.
horrible.
And then naturally, like an idiot, I mentioned it in my sermon and I went to pieces.
Well, that's not an idiot. I think that was very meaningful to you to
No,
bring up your
oh,
mother.
Yeah,
Wow. That
Yeah.
must have been very hard for you, for a young man,
yeah, well,
and your father,
yeah.
and your siblings.
Well, for all of them, all of them.
What? Okay, the general education you told us about. Okay, now the most important part. Tell us how you met your wife.
I was a wholesale liquor salesman.
In Bridgeport, right?
Well, no,
Yep.
the office was in Bridgeport.
Okay.
My territory was down through Norwalk.
Okay.
I had a couple of clients in Greenwich, but it was mostly Danbury, Ridgefield.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you everybody up there at that time.
Right.
And what was your basic?
How did you meet your wife, Dorothy?
Uncle John.
Yeah. I had a customer, John Benjamin, very fine man, had a liquor store on the Post Road in Norwalk. And one day he said to me, "Hey, who are some of the women you go out to?" I mean, he was a hell of a nice guy. And I said, "Yeah, I got a gal over here." I go, and he knew her, he knew the family. And he says, "I got somebody for you, 1 in a million." And he was right. And I said, "Who is it?" And he told me, "It's Dorothy Becker." You know, it's just, but the only problem you got, but that's no challenge for you. She lives in New York, she lives in Queens or
Mm-hmm.
something. And I said, okay. At that time I was going with a young lady in, nothing serious, just dating, a young lady in Norwalk. And so I said to my brother Harry, 2 years older than me, I says, "You know, I got a hell of a woman for you. I think you ought to take her out. She'd be great." I said, "I heard all about her background. Definitely. Call her up." So you go to Long Island.
It was Bayside.
Pardon?
Bayside.
So you're trying to set up your brother with Dorothy Becker.
Forest Hills.
And I didn't try, I did.
You
So she said, "You know what? I don't know you, I don't know your brother. Why don't I get one of my girlfriends that will double date?"
She was smart.
Right.
Smart lady.
Right.
And that was it. And so how did your friend who mentioned her know Dorothy? The friend who suggested that John, how did he know Dorothy?
John?
Yes.
Uncle John.
Were they related?
I don't
Were they
think
friends?
they really related,
But
but it was
they were-
Uncle John anyway.
His wife and Nanny, my mother's mother, were friends.
Wow. Wow. And
I'm
how,
glad you brought her along, okay?
that's what family's for, right?
Right.
So how long did you date? Now, when you met Dorothy on this double date,
Right,
did you immediately say she's the one for me, or
yes,
And did she feel that way about you, or
yes.
did you have to convince her?
Yeah, no,
So how long did you date before you married? Do you remember?
At the most, 6 months.
Whoa.
Oh, before married?
Yeah, 6 months.
Didn't
No.
Uncle Harry date her for a period of time?
No, once I talked him out of it. No, he knew it,
Oh, I didn't know
The
that.
sparks must have flown, huh?
yeah. Well, Harry was going with a girl from, at the time, Arkansas, Arizona, somewhere.
That's pretty long distance.
Yeah,
So you and Dorothy decided to get married. So you are dating while she's still living in Queens, correct? So you are going to visit her in Queens on your dates, is that correct?
crazy.
And not crazy, it's love, right? And then once you decide to get married, where did you decide to live?
Stanford.
Okay,
Well,
why?
there were no apartments in Greenwich
Okay,
at that time,
okay.
so we got married in Norwalk.
What temple? Do you remember?
Yeah, the one that's there now, the main one on.
The Orthodox one, right?
Huh?
Bethel Temple.
Right.
Temple Bethel. Okay.
Right.
So you were married there,
Yeah, we were married there.
and then you decided to settle in Stamford because there were no apartments in Greenwich. You said.
That's correct.
Were there were plenty of apartments in Stamford for you to settle in?
Yeah.
Where did you live?
Up on the hill. Come on.
Fairlawn.
Fairlawn.
Now, was Greenwich at that time friendly to Jewish people? Well, you grew up here, so they must have been friendly to Jewish people, or was there a little bit of anti-Semitism at that
Oh,
time?
no.
No?
It was, where are you asking about? In the apartment?
Oh, in Greenwich first.
No.
Was there any anti-Semitism that you
No.
detected in
No.
Greenwich
No.
or in Stamford?
No, I never had a problem.
Okay. Okay, now when you moved to Stamford with Dorothy, were you still working for the wholesale liquor?
Absolutely.
Okay. And when was Dorothy working at that time?
Yes.
Okay, what did she do?
She worked in the medical in New
Rusk
York.
Institute in New York. She did she helped build prosthetic devices.
Wow.
Yeah, during the war, she was there.
So was Dorothy educated? Did she go to college? No. No, but she was trained, I'm assuming, right? At the hospital or wherever she was working?
At the Rusk
At the Rusk
Institute.
Institute.
That's right.
That's pretty advanced probably for a woman at that time, I would imagine. Maybe not. I don't know.
Dorothy
Yeah,
was an
what year
unusual
did you get married? Do you remember the year you got married?
Boy, I'll be no
50,
more
51?
Huh?
You got married
51.
51.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now tell us, when you moved to Stamford, tell us about your community involvement or your religious involvement. Did you join the temple in Stamford, or were you still coming to the temple in Greenwich?
No. We joined the temple in Stanford.
Aguda?
At that time, it was down where it's the black
Church.
Yes.
church.
Right, off of Broad Street or
Right,
yes,
yeah.
on that
Grove.
Grove Street. Yes. Now it's yes. Interesting. So were you involved in? Were you very involved in the temple there, or did you just go as a?
Oh, no, I didn't have time for that.
You didn't have time for this. So what were you doing?
Oh, well, I was a wholesale liquor salesman.
Right.
3 days a week,
Okay.
and the other time I worked for my father.
So did you find being Jewish got in your way at all in business? Did it affect you business-wise at
No.
all? No, so you didn't feel it. Okay, now we all know that you started a little business with your wife, I think.
Right.
Tell us how Caldor came to be. When did you, whose idea was it?
My father.
Your father. Okay, so tell us how that came to be.
He came to me one day and he said, in America, it's nice to see you get a great income. You got a good job, you work 3 days a week. It's wonderful. But in America, things happen. And the next thing you know, something can happen at the company and you're out. There's nothing like being what they say in Jewish, your own balaboss,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, I know what you mean.
So maybe you make a little less, but it's yours. And you could do what you want to do.
Wow.
So I said, oh, okay.
So how far into your marriage was this, do you recall? Did you have children yet?
No,
So it was before you and Dorothy had children?
yeah.
Okay. So who came up with the idea for Caldor? Was it strictly your father's idea, or did you sit down with him and discuss what you could do?
No.
Tell us.
It was my idea.
And how did you come up with it?
During the time, you know, you have your parties, your
Wedding gifts.
wedding gifts.
Mm-hmm.
We got, at that time, you were so young you wouldn't know what it is, a Ronson cigarette lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarette lighter,
Right.
Ronson. We got all kinds, all stuff. So, what are we gonna do? I says, you go into New York, go in the Corvette. Half of them probably came from Corvette, and you don't want the money. Just tell me you want the dollars, and you'll buy other merchandise. That's the way it went.
Mm-hmm.
So while she did that, I circled the store, and I looked at what they were doing and how they did it, and that was an idea. So and then that was it. We went back, and I said, you know, I think that's a good business. I could see it, because you're not convinced with only a Mother's Day,
Mm-hmm.
or a Father's Day, or a Christmas Day. There's a Saturday every week,
Mm-hmm.
and you could do all the promoting you want, whatever you wish. You don't have to wait for a certain. So we look around, and I said, I think it may be a good business. Let's go back to that store again. And we went back to Caldor, we went back to Corvette,
Mm-hmm.
and she did the buying at that time, and I looked around. At that time I was serious already, and I looked around to who they bought from. You know, they had the shipping tickets,
Yeah.
and I'd copy them all down, and so forth. Because if I went in that business, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Right.
Now I know where General Electric is, or Westinghouse, whoever it is. And I said to her, you know, that's our business. We'll go into it, we'll open the store, and that's it.
So you got the inspiration from Corvettes, which was a discount. Was it a discount store at the time?
She got an inspiration.
She did. Your wife was the inspiration.
She got the inspiration from me.
Right.
I'm the one that inspired her.
Right.
No.
But the two of you built it. But so you got inspired by Corvettes. Was Corvettes a discount store at the time?
Oh, yeah.
It's like Caldor.
Oh, man.
And so the two of you decided to open up a store modeled on that idea.
Yeah.
And where was your first store?
Portchester.
Portchester.
Upstairs, walk one flight. Upstairs. It was really an upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It was an older building,
Right.
and
The downstairs was a tire store.
you know,
Wow.
and not ours.
Right.
But that's it. And we parked. I had a station wagon, but we parked in the back, and we started a business going. I hired one or two gentlemen, and we did nicely. Then I had an idea. You know, we got all these factories around here. You had a Home Light, you had GE, you had Westinghouse, you had everybody. The companies had them.
Right.
So I said, I got an idea, Dot. You get dressed up, and, well, first I'll go and see the head buyer or the business department of each company.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go periodically, and I tell them what we would like to do. I have an employee, a young lady, who will come out here, and she'll bring a GE steam iron, she'll bring a toaster, she'll bring this, she'll bring that, and she'll say, it's a value, you get a great savings here, this is it. And I mean, that's what it's all about, great savings. And next week, the following week, she'll deliver it here, and you'll pay her, and that's it. And that's what was a good income to cover the apartment, and she did it.
That was Dorothy who was doing that, right?
Yeah.
So she was truly your partner, or business partner.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well,
She
yeah.
was so much of a partner that tell them what happened. She went into labor at your store.
Oh. Oh. This is serious business, brother. We had a one floor.
Now, are we still in Portchester, or are we somewhere else now?
Portchester.
We're still in Portchester, okay. So are you bigger now, or are you still above the tire store?
Above the tire.
So she's walking upstairs pregnant.
No. Well, she
Walking up
does
a ladder.
too. Yeah, she does walk.
Okay, she's pregnant.
So she's waiting on a customer. Oh no, she worked.
I believe it.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
She worked. And they wanted something that was up there on the shelf. So she got the ladder, which she always does,
Right.
and went up there. And all of a sudden, take over, Ron.
No, I want to hear you say it. What
He
happened?
doesn't know the term. Her water broke.
Her water broke?
And somebody hollered, "Hey, something's leaking somewhere!" So everybody stopped.
But I bet she got that, whatever that customer needed. Did she still get it? No one hurt, right? She got it. And
She completed the sale.
she completed the sale.
But he didn't go to the hospital with her.
Oh,
ha-
boo.
How did she get to the hospital? Did she drive herself?
Why, I had 4 help.
So you got,
So, hey, Luke,
Kirby.
take Dorothy to the hospital. I'll call the doctor, he'll meet you there,
I love this.
it'll be all set. And that's what happened.
Was that United Hospital or
And I
Greenwich?
never heard the end of it either.
Yeah, you
Great.
deserved
I
it.
didn't go to
You deserved it, right? That is great. She
Yeah.
she sounds like a dynamo.
Yeah,
So okay, so how long were you in Portchester in that store before you? Because you eventually moved to Stamford. Am I correct?
no,
No, it's okay. So I'm not correct. So you were in Portchester for how long? The first store.
well, no. The first door was upstairs.
Right, the upstairs.
Murder to get up there, but
Okay.
that's all right.
So then, once you started getting bigger, where did you go?
Moved downstairs
Okay.
on Main Street.
Okay.
Some auto store went out of business,
Right.
and I said, perfect for
Right.
us.
Right.
Parking around,
Right.
let's go there.
Yep.
And we moved there.
Mhm.
We were there for about 4 years, 5 years.
Mhm.
And then across the street was a restaurant, and it was rather large and so forth. For some reason, and I don't know, I don't remember, he went out of business.
Right.
And I said, you know, that store's twice, maybe 3 times bigger than this store.
Mhm.
Let's go over there. And so we moved over there, and that's where we stayed all the time. We had that store. We had a big warehouse in the back of us,
Right.
right on the street there
Right.
for the trucks to pull in. It was good. It was very good.
And eventually, how many stores did you have when as time went on and you grew? How many stores did you eventually have?
When I sold the company, personally,
Yes. Yes.
when I sold the company personally, I had about 125.
Wow.
And were they all over the Northeast, or where were they?
Well, Baltimore.
Mhm.
I opened in Baltimore, and then we had naturally we had Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York.
Mhm.
But
Wow.
Everything had to be within driving distance. That was his philosophy.
And you and Dorothy were very involved until you sold it, is that correct? The two of you were still involved with the store and still managing everything? And Dorothy was walking up and down ladders?
yeah. No, she was very involved.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And alongside of it, we had babies.
Right, you had children.
And alongside of it, we had $1 million fire.
Oh, where? Where?
Well, you
Tell us.
were young. Were you born and
Norwalk?
raised in?
No. I'm from the South.
Oh,
But my husband's from Stamford, you know that.
yeah.
And
Well,
his
he
pa-
would know.
and his
Well,
parents.
he wouldn't. His father.
His father.
Yeah.
So you had a fire. What year was that, do you recall?
61.
61.
Because Bruce, that was the year Bruce was born.
Oh,
And
my.
that's when I had encephalitis.
Right.
Oh, so you. Oh,
Everything happened at once.
Thank you for inviting her.
wow. What caused? Do you know what caused the fire? Do you have any idea what caused the fire?
Yeah, some electricians,
Uh,
because you're constantly changing.
changed. Right. Right.
Right.
Oh boy. And where was the fire?
On Route 7, where there's
The Walmart now.
In
Walmart
Norwalk. In
now.
Norwalk. You're talking about Norwalk.
no.
And it was $1 million fire, so it basically destroyed your building and business at that time, right? Did you rebuild?
Yeah.
Did you have insurance?
Well, we moved. Yeah, we moved to the next.
Like a temporary location?
There's a. Well, but they got to knock the building down.
Right, right. So did you
They
lose
built up.
everything and
Yeah.
all the inventory and everything in
Yeah.
that fire?
And we at that time we sold ammunition,
Oh my God.
paint, and the fire. Pop, 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 pop.
That was a dangerous fire.
It was very exciting.
That's a way to put
When
it.
they called me to go there, they called about 2 o'clock,
Yeah.
and I went there.
2 in the morning?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And you went there?
I went there. The place was loaded. You know, the fire engines.
That must have been horrible to see your life's work.
Yeah, that's it.
And your daughter was sick, and your wife had just had a baby, right?
Yeah.
So she had her hands
That was
full.
the last one, Bruce.
But she had her hands
The
full with
youngest.
3 children, a sick child.
And Mark had chicken pox. Both of us got it from chicken pox.
That's right.
Wow.
And Mark had it down his throat, and
Oh,
my
wow.
chicken pox turned into encephalitis.
Wow.
And there was question if I was going to survive.
Oh man, you have quite a few things going on. Wow. Wow. So were you sorry to leave your business? How did it make, I mean, I know you sold and I'm sure you were happy to sell, but how did it make you feel not working anymore? Were you sorry to not have the business to go to every day anymore?
I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I miss it. There's so many things that's being done. You know, a lot of them are closing up.
Right.
You know.
Things change.
Yeah, J.C. Penney's giving away. We're going to close
Yeah.
more. Kmart. You know, you go through Sears Roebuck.
Right.
You know.
But then you promised Mom that you would travel.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, so what did you do after you retired? Did you travel? Did you and your wife travel?
At one point, we took a trip. I don't know, I guess the advertising called it around the world, but we took a plane from New York and we went to, well, to California, and then we took off and picked up more passengers.
Right. Right.
And, yeah, we went to a lot of places.
So how old were you when you sold your business?
I sold it in 68.
No, no,
No.
no. You sold it, I think, in '81. And then you stayed on for 5 years.
Okay. Right.
It was bought out by
3
Associated.
years.
3 years?
Okay.
Associated Dry Goods, and then in '85 you got out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
85.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who
So-
remembers?
Well, your daughter remembers.
That's why I have.
Your headquarters was in Norwalk, right?
Yes.
I remember seeing it. You could see it from the Merit.
Yep,
You could see the headquarters
it was
sign.
right there.
It was right there. Yeah.
So now I'm going to jump to a little history in our country. What wars have you lived through, and how have they affected your life? And I know you were in the military. Am I correct?
Yeah.
What part of the military were you in, and
And
when?
when?
Quartermaster.
When? Which war?
Which war?
World War II.
World War, yeah, it's only one war.
And so you were quartermaster, and what did you do?
I was more or less assigned to a group of guys. You go through your questioning. Tell me about your background. But oh, well, I worked in a grocery store. I don't know what the hell he was leading to.
Supplies.
Very interesting. I got a job for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You'll have so many guys, and you'll be responsible to make sure they get enough food and proper clothing that they order the clothes. With a Jewish background,
Right.
you could do well. He was probably Jewish too, I don't know. So that's what I did.
And where were you at that time? Where did they have you?
In Europe.
It was where?
Where were you stationed?
Where were you stationed? Yeah.
Well,
Wasn't it Germany? No.
no, that's later. Started with a B, I can't think
Belgium?
No, you
of
said,
it. Very good.
okay, good. That's why she's a teacher.
Yeah.
Always a teacher.
Were you drafted or you enlisted?
It was a combination. I enlisted because I knew I was going to be drafted.
Okay.
My brother had gone already, and so I knew I'd be next.
What
I didn't mind the Army. In fact, I rather liked it.
What did you like about it?
It was free. I could do what I want. I at that point, it was interesting. At that point, I had 4 guys that were responsible to me for the food, the clothing, and so forth, and so forth. And we would get together in the evening, and you'd have a beer, which I don't drink, but you would have a beer,
Right.
and you just sit and chat for a Bubbermeister. We chat one night in particular, and they said, where are you from? And they ask the guy, and they go around, and then they come to me. And they said, where are you from, Mr. Bennett? I says, Connecticut. Oh. So then you say your religion? And I said, Jewish. And this guy over there says, you're not Jewish. Don't tell me why you're saying that. I said, what do you mean? I'm Jewish. No, you're not. I says, okay. Do you know my parents? Do you know anybody? I can't understand it.
Right.
So I said, why would you say I'm not Jewish? Because I know we say back home, all Jews have
Horns.
Horns.
horns. Thank you. And you don't, I've been looking at you, you don't have any horns, you're not Jewish. So I says, okay. I forgot what, I had an interesting answer for him, but I forgot what it
So
was.
did you educate him about what Jews are?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you become friends?
yeah, probably, sure, yeah.
Do you remember where he
Become
was?
friends, you got nobody else.
That's true.
5 guys, 6 guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you like to do in your spare time? I mean, what did you do? What work? I'm assuming when you and Dorothy were building your business, that your business was your spare time too, right? It was a lot of work.
And the babies.
And the children, and then maybe going to temple occasionally, right?
Yeah.
Ask him if he ever changed a diaper.
So since once you retired, in your spare time, it sounds like you and Dorothy traveled. Did you get involved in any
We
community?
didn't travel.
Just that one trip.
You took one trip, one big trip? And did you get involved in community activities, or what did you do after you
I didn't
retired?
have time.
After you retired?
We make up deposits at night. The first night we came back to the apartment and we had dinner.
Mhm.
And there was one restaurant we always had dinner in. I can't think of it. It was good. And we go home and you got the little bag of money. And
Right, right.
that's her job,
Right.
make the deposit.
That's an important job.
Yeah, so I went and did something else and I come back a half hour later. I said, my God, you're still working on it? What's the big deal? She says, I'm 10 cents off. I gotta find out. I said, come on, what are you worried about 10 cents off? Why? You wanna know what happened to the money?
Smart lady.
Said somebody made a mistake and they gave the wrong credit or something.
Right.
Don't worry about it. Oh,
So she was very meticulous.
yeah.
So once you sold your business and then retired, what did you and Dorothy do to keep yourselves busy?
I tell everybody, enjoy while you can.
Right.
That's the best philosophy there is.
It's excellent.
He played
But I didn't
golf.
practice it like a schmuck.
Did you play golf?
Oh, sure.
Did Dorothy? What did Dorothy like to do?
Tennis.
Oh, she was active.
She was very good at tennis.
Wow. Oh, you had a tennis court at your house, am I right?
Right.
In Stamford?
Yep.
Yeah. So she played tennis, and you played. Where did you play golf?
Rock Rimmon.
Rock Rimmon.
Right. Were you one
And
of the?
then later,
I asked him
when
the founders.
we
Yeah.
moved,
Quaker Ridge.
Quaker Ridge.
Were you one of the founders of Rock Rimmon?
No,
No. Were you involved? Did you want to join pretty early on when Rock Rimmon formed?
no.
No?
It was later on.
Okay.
It was years later.
But did you join there because that was considered where Jews could join? Is that why you joined there?
Where Jews could join?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you join
Yeah,
Rock?
it was a Jewish
Club.
club.
Right. Is
Right,
that
that's
why
what I
you-
mean.
Is that why you joined Rock Rimmon?
Is that why? Yeah, of
Because
course.
what at the time weren't there very few clubs that allowed Jews to join? Isn't that why Rock Rimmon was formed?
Yes.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so.
Yeah, you couldn't have joined probably some clubs in Greenwich at the time.
Greenwich.
I would imagine, right?
Downhill Club, no.
No, right,
Greenwich Country Club.
right. They were
No.
strict.
Burning Tree was the only one that took Jews.
Huh?
I think Burning Tree took Jews.
Oh, Burning Tree, yeah, they
Yeah.
took Jews, a lot of Italians. Yeah.
Do you want us to tell us about your family, your children, and your grandchildren? Would you like to tell us about your? We know you have an amazing daughter. Do you want to tell
She
us?
has an amazing daughter.
Yeah. Okay. That's your granddaughter.
That's right.
So you're very proud of your children and your grandchildren, I take
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you spend the holidays with them? Did you have
Yeah.
Passover? Passover was just
Yeah,
earlier this
sure,
week. So
yeah.
did you?
Mark and Katie had it.
Yeah. My,
And
They have children.
my oldest son, they have 2 young ladies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice?
Do your kids all live nearby?
All except my youngest, he's up in Rochester, New York. He's a teacher up there. And he went to college up there. And so then he got a very good job. And he's been up there since. It's been a long time.
2 children.
And he's got 2 children,
Mhm.
a boy and a girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So each of your children have 2 children. Had 2 children, right?
Bruce has
Yeah.
2.
2.
Mark has
2.
2.
Robin had 2.
Robin had 2.
Yes. Okay. What advice do you have for future generations? And maybe you give some of this advice to your
That's it.
grandchildren. To your grandchildren.
Enjoy while you can.
Why do you say that?
Because I was a schmuck. I didn't enjoy while I could.
Really? Do you think you worked too hard?
Yeah.
Really?
But I enjoyed it.
I was gonna say, but it sounds like that was something that meant something
Yeah,
to you
but now
and
as I look back,
right. But would you change anything
Oh,
if you
yeah.
could? If you could,
yeah,
what?
definitely.
Just tell me one thing you would change.
Work
A
less.
selection of people, you know, we had a regular training classes.
No, that's with work. What would you change with your wife?
Or your life. What would you change? You said enjoy while you can. What about your life would you change? One little thing you would change.
Well, in all fairness, we did go away 3-day weekends,
That's a good thing.
4-day weekends.
Mhm.
Occasionally,
Right?
we go to the different spas.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we got a little exercise,
Right.
and you work out, and you go swimming,
Right.
and you know, and you control your diet.
Oh, and you have been extremely generous in our communities. When did you get involved in philanthropy, and kind of what gave you the idea or to get involved in philanthropy?
You had some money, and you know some good things. You see something that's progressive, has good results for the group, whatever it is. And, no,
That's a little too modest for me.
That's a little too late.
Modest for me. Was it your wife's idea to or was it a joint idea? The two of you sitting down and said, we want to give back to our community. Is that,
No,
how did it come about?
no. You meet somebody and you're impressed.
I think for that was Rabbi Aaronkrantz.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And what did he do?
Well, what does a rabbi do?
Yeah. But did he
We need money.
Okay. Okay. And he was a good talker, right? And he was a good man.
He was.
He was a very good man.
Yeah.
But the Bennett Center, the cancer center at Stamford Hospital, how did that come about? Did they approach you or you had an idea?
No, I think it was, we had an idea we'd give some money. And that's how, unless you recall,
I think there were a lot of people who were receiving cancer treatment were either going to Yale or they were going to New York.
that,
And yeah.
And so they thought it would be wonderful if they could have a cancer center in between. And at that point, I remember Mom and Dad were trying to get Sloan Kettering to come in. And they were ready to come in and join forces, but the doctors did not want it.
yeah,
It was,
that was a little later though. That was later, we were already organized and had the cancer center.
So did you know people who had cancer and you decided that was the kind of cause that you wanted to pursue?
Not necessarily, probably
You
so.
did,
There
but
was
you
a
saw a
need.
need. You saw a need.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
and then Dad, I know he was very involved with the development of a cultural day school.
Really?
oh,
Tell us about that.
well, Mr. S. Approached me because he was as good a shovel.
Right.
I was as good a shovel. Oh, and Bruce went to the,
And I went.
and she went to the bicultural.
Two of your children. Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So did you help
You know,
found it?
that may be really the start of it all.
I think between the synagogue and a bicultural, those were the
Bicultural.
two. And then everything started expanding and it
I
always
just made out a check for them.
Well, good for you. I'm sure
Yes.
I'm sure they greatly appreciate it.
Oh, they have their annual dinner.
Right. Right. Right.
You want to go?
We'll talk about it. But I think there was also then
Boy, and they don't know when to give up either.
Well, places that are needy are needy. You know, a lot of places are needy today. Maybe they know you have a soft heart.
Yeah.
and then the Jewish home. My
Yes.
I mean weren't you on the board?
I was on the board,
And then there was the Weizmann Institute in Israel. He got very involved in.
That's wonderful.
Anything else you'd like to know?
Well,
And I know the Fairfield University has a
The Judaic Studies. Yeah.
Yeshiva University?
Yeshiva University.
Yeah, I get Yeshiva University.
He always, it either seems to be Judaic related
Right,
or health related.
well, those are two wonderful things. Wow. And you're still I take it you're still involved,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, we were just at Fairfield. We heard Nancy Spielberg speak.
That's right.
see her film or
Yeah, she gave snippets of her film and showing a new film that's coming out on the Lotz Ghetto, and they found all these papers.
we had her at the Jewish Film Festival 2 years ago, her movie, and she was the keynote speaker to open up the
nice
film
movie.
festival.
Well, is there anything I have not asked you that you would like to tell us about your life? Oh, you know what? I have to say, your home is so beautiful. You have beautiful art here. Now, is this a collection of you and Dorothy? Or did Dorothy pick it out, or did you pick it out, or how did this come
We
to
did
be?
everything together,
You were a real team.
yes.
And you know, I think we have a picture of her somewhere that we would like.
After he finishes, we'll
Okay,
do.
okay. So you picked out, so are some of these from travels, or some of these just from going to exhibits, or?
Which, these pictures?
Yes,
general,
yes, in
the
general.
artwork.
Where did some of the, where did a lot of, I know,
You bought a lot from Wally Finley.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the
Yeah.
gallery? Used to go to New York a lot, and that's where he would get a
Yeah.
lot of these
Yeah.
We
major
bought it,
paintings.
we saw it, it was
yeah.
in the window.
And some of it is done by your daughter.
Huh?
Some of the most impressive pieces have been created by your daughter, Robin.
That's the right thing to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead, what is she whispering? What does she want to know?
No, I just wanted to know is
No, what does she want to know?
No, I wanted to know about your background, and I wanted to know about Caldor as a customer. I wanted to know about it, and I wanted to know about your philanthropic work. So
We got everything.
We got everything.
I'm sorry.
Philanthropic.
Philanthropic.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to tell us about your life? I don't want to miss anything.
What can I tell you? After you leave, I say, oh yeah!
What brings you? What brings you?
I have a
Okay.
question. Your other brother also had a grocery store. Did he stay with that, or did he?
That was his
Yeah,
uncle.
that was his
Oh, it's your
uncle.
uncle. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. I take it back.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam. I had an Uncle Sam.
I bet you look at grocery stores very carefully when you go today because of your background, right? You look at it with a fine eye, with an expert
Not only
eye.
grocery stores, I look at.
Oh, he looked
Right, every store.
retailers.
That's true, retailers, yeah.
Yeah.
You would have gotten along with my father really well.
Yeah.
And didn't you say, what was your biggest regret about me? That you didn't introduce me?
Who did you want her to meet? Who did you want Robin
No, didn't you want me to
Take over.
take over?
take over? You never
Oh.
thought of.
When I went to Seoul,
Yeah,
I asked her,
right,
her brother Mark,
right,
who I gave a job
right.
in the photo department.
Okay, so he works for your store.
To see he gets a flavor.
Right.
Dad, and she's probably said the same thing too. You gotta work Sundays.
No,
See,
baloney. I was a nurse at that point.
So was Mark the only child who worked in your
no,
store?
Really?
I was a nurse at that point.
Yeah.
I worked hard.
Did,
Look
did,
at the opportunity you had.
did your children work in the stores like over Christmas in high school? Did you expect them to work in your store?
I'd ask them if they'd like to.
No,
Yeah.
no. This is where we have a big difference.
And-
I used to work at the headquarters.
Oh.
You know what?
Oh, well, headquarters is the same thing.
And Mark worked in the store for a while, you said,
Yes.
right?
That was Mark or Bruce?
Mark. Bruce
So-
never worked in the store.
I didn't know Mark worked in the store.
Oh,
In the photo
definitely.
department. you said, yeah.
And the one in Stamford on Broad Street, whatever it is. Yeah.
So you didn't really expect one of your children to take over your business, or you didn't groom them to take over your business?
They weren't interested.
Anyway,
They weren't interested, right?
long hours.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
It's a lot of it's a hard work. It's hard
Yes,
work.
yes.
And Robin didn't want to have to go into labor climbing up a ladder. Well, Mr. Bennett, we thank you so much. This has been a delightful interview.
We're going to point out the key pieces.
Oh, come on.
Oh, wait a minute,
Say it
who asked?
louder.
Oh, someone wants you. Are there any key pieces of art in here you want to point out to us? Anything in particular?
Well, the
Noteworthy?
piece that,
Oh, the Golda Meir. We'll have to
Okay,
go in the other room for
we'll do
that.
All right,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
This picture was taken at my wedding.
What year?
Are you filming?
That was 1981.
Okay,
It's a great
and
picture.
this picture here?
Is my mother in, I'm going to say 1973.
Okay. And then we have a room full of paintings here. Of
He's
pictures.
What, you want to tell us about the Golda Meir that you're so proud
But
of?
this is,
Dad won an award, and Scoop Jackson presented him the award. I think it was a humanitarian award, Golda Meir award. And at that point in high school, I was into drawing. So I did this drawing of Golda Meir, and we presented at the
and you were how old?
17.
Okay, thank you.
This is a bust I did for my father, and I started sculpting in the 80s, and then put it aside when I had Sarah, and then when she went to college, I started sculpting again and decided I wanted to do a bust of my father. And so I went to Silver Mine, and it didn't take me long to do the sculpture, the bronzing process, and getting the mold, and getting the wax, and getting the patina. So I had two made, one is here and the other one is at my house.